You recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are live on Relics Radio on Thursday night, June the 21st, 2018. I'm just like a kid in a candy store. I can't wait till Thursday night comes along and get to be with all of you guys. I tell you what, I got the greatest job in the world. And I've got a good co-host with me tonight. Not that I don't every other night, but Jeff is selling ice for the Hippie Fest. All of the rainbow people out there, I guess, somewhere in Tennessee. And I have got Mr. Heath Jones from History Seekers with me tonight. Welcome, Heath.
Hey, thanks, Seven. Always good to come on the show.
Yeah, and I have this great fear tonight somewhere during the show that Scott Duncan is going to call and test. What's the matter with this thing?
Oh, we shall not talk about that. It's like that never happened.
Yeah, I called in, and I didn't mean to do it, but I called in, and my board, I had something flipped on my board, and I couldn't hear anything through the headphones. They were hearing me, and I wasn't hearing them, and I was doing a little bit of everything. So after the show, I done Heath and Scott a favor and pulled up their audio and edited all that out and put it back on. So if you weren't live, you missed a great deal right there, didn't they?
Yeah, and you got it before I got a chance to save it.
Oh, really? Well, I may have.
Oh, yeah, that would have made it for a good bloopers reel one day.
Well, I may have a copy of that. I don't know. I'll just have to go back and look and see. But it was an adventure.
I figured you burned the hard drive.
No, I didn't. I may have a copy of that still on my computer here. I pull that up and redo it in Audacity, which is it's actually a free audio program that I use to edit a lot of stuff, and it's pretty good. I always depend on Jeff to look through the chat and everything. We got Ohio Relic Hunter was on in right out of the door. Jason was in pretty quick there right behind him, and also Dennis and Bill Hayes. Going down the list right here, trying to see if there's anybody else new.
Dave Miller.
Yeah, Dave Miller. Good evening, he says. Mark Hoover, our booking agent, he is in. Woody Jones is in. Ann is in. Ken Guthrie is in. Now, Ken was involved in that debacle the other night.
Yes, he was. Yes.
But I can't say nothing about Ken because he's sending me one of them Wide Pride T-shirts.
Even though you didn't qualify, you didn't meet the requirements for giving you honorary membership.
That's what it is. And I am so ashamed to say that I got an extra large. That's as high as I could go.
Well, we'll let you slide with this one, Lloyd.
I told him I wanted one
of
our
mascot.
Yeah, I wanted one of them big shirts to cover my houseboat. And we've got about a 60-foot houseboat, so I wanted something to cover it with. Hey, Heath, we've got a great show tonight. We've got two great guests with us tonight. We've got Chris Heimsoth, and both of these are from Missouri. We got Chris Heimsoth and his wife, Becky Mackey.
Good for you.
Oh, boy. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
Caught that right out of the gate, didn't he?
Yes, he did. I didn't think we'd go there, but here we go.
Yeah. Wait.
go ahead, Becky. Tell the story.
I can't. We were out detecting. I ran into this little girl who we became very fond of. And anyways, Chris, was it you that told the newspaper about her?
Yeah.
Nobody hears me?
Yeah, he said yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
anyways-
I told the newspaper.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he said that he had
No,
told.
go on with it. This is as awkward as the newspaper article was.
Anyways, Chris has a friend who's a editor of the newspaper, or writes the newspaper, and she mistakenly put in there that I was his wife. And I knew nothing about it until somebody else had told me, and it was becoming a running joke.
Hey, Chris, we set you up right there because Becky told me that story. Whenever we talked the other day, she told me that that had happened, and I said, well, don't say anything to him. And when we open up the show and I introduce you, I'm going to say Chris Heimsoth and his wife, Becky Mackey. And so it's all in
Kept
fun.
that secret for a week now.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah. I could just hear Chris take a big gasp right there.
I did.
I
was like, here we go. I'm going to start getting a bunch of texts again from my friends.
Hey, guys, good to have you on. And how did you two meet and start detecting together?
Go ahead,
Chris?
Becky.
Well, I had just started detecting about 4 years ago. And met a gentleman and bought a detector from him and was out detecting at a place. And Chris and some guys, or I think they're friends of his, had pulled up and met him to them, and really didn't start detecting together until about 2 years ago. So Chris may have lived a little bit on that.
You got anything to add on that, Chris?
No, that was basically the first time I saw Becky, though. I went by this little park to hunt, and I guess someone had just told her about this site. And they pulled a lot of French triangles out of this park, 69 caliber French triangle Civil War bullets. And so I was going by there, and as I drove by, I saw her, and I said, hey, have you done any good detecting out here, find anything? And I guess she kind of was thinking that this was a secret site that nobody knew about, because she said, no, not much. And I went up, and as I turned around, she was on her phone talking to somebody, and she said, you won't believe what just happened. Somebody just pulled up and asked me about metal detecting.
Now,
neither her nor I.
Is this
neither
also
of
the
us have
site
found
that,
any. Is it a what?
No, I was just going to say, now, is this also the site that produced that awesome cannonball? I know at one time she had a picture of this awesome cannonball.
No.
Because if so, I could see why she'd be very protective.
Tell them about that
actually,
cannonball, Becky.
Tell them about the cannonball? That is what you call newbie luck. I was in what was a Civil War camp spot that had been, or supposedly had been hunted out. And we've been digging there most of the day, and I was tired, I was bored, and I just said I was going to clear this spot of all the signals. So I just started digging, pulling out nails and pieces of iron and stuff. I ended up pulling stuff out from underneath the roots. Anyways, I was pulling out bricks, and I went to grab for what I thought was another brick, and I felt that it was round. I'm like, well, this don't feel like a brick to me. And I'm like, This feels like my daughter's shot put. And I'm like, no way. With my hand underneath each root, my face planted in the hole practically. I look up at the guy that I was detecting with, a friend of mine, and I said, you wouldn't believe what I just found. I said, I think I found a cannonball. And he said, there's no way. And I said, oh, yeah? So I pulled it out, and I said, then what is this? Then
I had what now? Was that a solid shot? I don't remember. Or was it?
That was a solid
ship?
6-pound shot.
Okay.
And that was the picture that you sent to me where you're holding the cannonball, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I asked both of them for a picture for the promo, and was going to take 2 individual pictures and put them together, but then Chris sent me one of them together, and I used it. But I tell you what, that was a great find, wasn't it? And, we talk about these sites being hunted out, but you would be surprised at the number of people that, even on a Civil War site, that will not dig iron.
I guarantee you.
I dug plenty of iron, and I still will. I mean, I actually miss digging iron because a lot of places, you don't have that much, but in this particular spot, we were digging horseshoes by the bucket loads and nails. I believe there was a house there at once. I know there was a house there, but like I said, I just was bored, and I just started pulling all these nails out, and I got down to about a 1.5 feet in the ground and ended up pulling that out.
I watched a young lady do that same thing one night, one day in a courthouse that I'll be honest with you. And it wasn't an area known for Civil War activity. And I absolutely wasn't digging iron. And she did, and dug this really nice cannonball, that, just like Becky said.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Somebody asked there a while ago, and I think it was Woody Jones, and you might elaborate on this. I think Chris put maybe a link in the chat, but he was wanting to know what a French Triangle 69 is. Can you explain that to him?
It's a big, heavy bullet. There's several different patterns, I believe, on that bullet, but they all have a triangle recess in the base. There's 69s and 58s, I believe. The ones that we're finding out here are a shorter 69. They're just a big Civil War rifled musket bullet with one single large grease groove around the base. It's an interesting looking bullet, designed to do like the mini ball and spread apart in the barrel to grip the rifling.
Yeah, I've never found one of those. You found one of those, Heath?
No, I never have. I've seen pictures of them, but now, were they not considered Confederate? I could be wrong about that. I can't remember.
No, I don't know.
Go ahead, Becky.
I really don't know. I think the ones that Matt and his father were finding there, I believe those, what they 58s, Chris?
I think they were 69s as well.
Okay.
I'll tell you a bullet that we found, and I did a little bit of research on it. I never did do a history clip on the thing, but it was a 69 Tower, and it evidently came from London, England, came from their supply over there, and mistakenly was shipped to the U.S. There weren't many of them, I don't think, that were shipped over this way. And my hunting partner, he was using my E-Track, and he said, I've got a 1234. And I said, solid? And he said, yeah. I said, dig it. And he said, I don't know what a 1234 is. I said, if you don't want to dig it, I will. He said, no, I'll dig it. And he dug it, and it was a big old 69, but it wasn't like the 69s that we find. And so I did a little bit of research on it, and they call it a Tower. Have any of y'all ever seen those bullets?
Yeah,
I've never dug one.
Heath, you've probably seen some down in Georgia, hadn't you?
I have, yeah, and I was going to tell you too. I just Googled the triangle. It is. I was right. It is Confederate, and I linked it in the chat if anybody's looking in there. And if anybody's got their bullet book with them, it's a Mason McKee 264, or in the Thomas book 574. For you guys that are thumbing through books, looking for that book. Looking for that bullet. Sorry.
I've got mine here, but I probably don't need to be looking through a book right now.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure there's some older guys that still have the bullet books. I've even got some. I guarantee you, there's somebody right now looking at that bullet.
I've got those books, and I've also got from round ball to what were those?
Rimfire.
Yeah,
round ball to rimfire.
Yeah, I've got that whole set, and it's quite informative and everything. What kind of detectors do you guys use?
I started out with an H250, went to the AT Pro, and now I've got the CTX 3030.
Ah.
Well, you just jumped right out of the frying pan into the fire, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
I did the same thing. Of course, whenever I started back in '76, I had an old whites machine and had a few whites through the years and everything. And then, I don't know, several years back now, I guess when they first come out, I bought an Ace 250 just to get a newer machine. And then I got an AT Pro, and then I went to an E-Track, and then I went to a 3030. So I put one more step in there than you did by going with the E-Track. But all good machines, no doubt about it. They'll all find you relics. And you use a 3030, don't you, Chris?
I use a 3030 and an AT Pro.
Great combination right there. I tell you, I sold my 3030, but I kept my AT Pro, and then there was a guy here in Kentucky, a friend of mine, that had an AT Pro for sale, and it was just like brand new, and he offered me a good deal on it, so I bought another one. And I'm not going to sell my AT Pros, even though I love the Equinox, and I like the Equinox 600 as a relic machine a lot better than I do a 3030, and I know that a lot of people probably will disagree with that, but don't you kind of feel that way, Heath?
Yeah, I like it too. It feels to me, and it just could be the red clay that we dig in down here, but it feels like it's a little deeper than the 3030. Maybe it's just me. Now in the sand, I don't know if that's true or not, but I really like it. And two, it's not as heavy. When you're walking miles in the heat, it's a little more bearable. Yeah.
It is light, and I'm really impressed with it. I tell you, everything that I've done with it so far, I've been impressed with it. But I have found more relics with my CTX and with my AT Pro, and I still love the AT Pro for identifying the debris field. And you guys know what I'm talking about, don't you, Chris?
I just use my AT Pro on relic fields or relic sites, and I use it for surveying, looking for those debris fields like you're talking about. The 3030, I'm pretty much gone to mostly using that in house sites, and I've been using the AT Pro for relic hunting mostly here lately.
Yeah, and the 3030, I mean, if I was going to just door knock and hit house sites, I would have kept my 3030. But, because you can tell, I could tell a pull tab, from a Cohen, and you don't dig a lot of junk, and I'm not going to be able to do that with Equinox. I mean, if I get in a yard that's got a lot of pull tabs, I'm going to have to dig a lot of pull tabs and everything. I'm sure that as I got a little experience using it, that I probably wouldn't dig as much, but I don't hunt those kind of sites, and so I really don't need that machine. But I did like a lot of things about that machine.
I tried a site where we were pulling really deep canister, 69 caliber canister shot off balls, and I was out there with my 3030 and the large coil, and then I had my AT Pro with the Tornado Nell coil, and I was hitting bullets with that Tornado Nell coil on AT Pro that I couldn't pick up on my 30-30 unless I opened it wide, totally open, and manually set my discrimination or manually set my sensitivity all the way to 28. Then I could get a tiny squeak.
Yeah. And you know, that's kind of why that Scott and I, which we still use them sometime, but we kind of got away from relic hunting as much with the CTX. I found it was good to about 10 inches or so on a bullet, and past that, it was, you had to really tweak the settings. Are you guys running an open screen by chance most of the time when you're running your CTX?
I do.
Oh, okay. That really helped me a lot, I tell you, when I started doing that.
How many tones are y'all running on your machine? Are you running 50 tones, or tell us about the setup that y'all are using? Are you using the same setup, or are you using different programs in yours?
I literally
ahead,
just got mine. So I have been given a couple of programs by a friend, and I've only used it now for like maybe the fourth time. So Chris is going to be your expert on this one.
I don't know about expert. I've been detecting some with a fella down south here in Missouri, and he uses a Minelab. I think it's an Explorer SE. Is that correct? Is that what the SE is? But anyway, that guy, there'd be 5 of us hunting the site, and he consistently comes out with way more than anybody else. He consistently digs bullets whenever we're not finding anything. And he said, let me take a look at your machine. And he set it up. He told me what to do. He had it set up now where it's 50 tones. I got the low end about as low as it'll go, the high end about as high as it'll go, to spread those 50 tones out really well. And everything is wide open. There's nothing fancy set in it, really. And he can tell you, okay, that sounds like, and this is going to sound silly, or maybe it won't to, but he can say, that sounds like a 69 Mini, and this sounds like something smaller than that. Like, it sounds like a Mini, but maybe it's going to be a Sharps. Okay, this is a round ball. This sounds like a round ball. And I don't know how often he hits those right, but and maybe that's something you guys, more experienced guys, can do. But I set my detector up the way he had it, 50 tones, wide open.
I know it sounds crazy, but
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I know it sounds crazy but yeah, you can sometimes, especially when you get to know a good identifying machine like that CTX. Is crazy how they sound a little different, especially with that 50 tone. I was telling when we were hunting with Ken and Mark this weekend, I was telling them, if you can learn 50 tone, it sounds fluty and it's aggravating sometimes, especially if you get in trash. But if you ever learn that 50 tone, you can tell so much more detail about a target. And Loy, I'm sure you can. Did you use 50 tone some on yours?
I did. And hold that thought for just a minute. We've got a commercial break, and we'll pick that right back up as soon as we run this commercial. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671 and be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. Yeah, you were talking about 50 tone. I ran mine in 50 tone and hunting the old colonial house sites and everything. And I identified just through experience, just from, 1 year there, I dug 300 flat buttons. And just from hearing that many flat buttons and the tone that I was getting on the 3030, even mixed in the iron and everything, because I ran a completely open screen, I could just hear a peep of that pitch and knew that there was a button mixed in there somewhere with it, But I'm not running 50 tone on the Equinox. I'm running 5 right now. Yeah. I may go back.
That's what Scott runs too.
He's running 5.
Yeah, he runs 5 as well.
And I don't know why that I went to 5. I think because I had got away from the 3030 and was using the AT Pro, and you've only got 3 tones on AT Pro, and so I don't know. I think that, and I love the tones of an AT Pro. I just wish that it had a few more things with it. I wish it had multi-frequency and stuff like that, but it doesn't. What is it? It's 15 hertz, isn't it?
Yeah, it is 15 and single frequency.
Yeah. But it's a great machine. There's no doubt about it. And like I say, I'm not gonna sell mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you say that y'all run an open screen and you're able to hear the iron and everything. Chris, are you able to dig what I call good iron? And whenever I say good iron, I'm talking about, like, and a lot of people will think that I'm crazy, but I consider a horseshoe being good iron. I consider anything but a square nail, being good iron. Are you able to tell the difference on
plates?
Do what?
Yeah, like lock plates and
right. Gun tools, things like that. Are you able to tell that on your machine consistently?
Not yet. Not on the 3030, but on the AT Pro, I can tell a horseshoe. And on the 3030, I'm pretty good at digging big pieces of flat iron. I can tell you that. But on the AT Pro, I can tell a horseshoe. That's about it. And I'm pretty good at digging nails now with the 3030.
See, that was
axe heads.
Yeah, that was my problem with the 3030. I couldn't dig the good iron like I could with the AT Pro. And what's the deal with that, Heath?
Well, I think, and I've had this conversation with a lot of folks, that machine's made not to dig trash. And most people, other than us relic hunters, we're kind of a different breed. It's made to kind of get rid of some of that stuff. And even the Deus, to some degree, is the same way. And I think that's a lot of what it is, because it'll tell you that it's ferrous, and it'll skip around and be a big block in the ferrous side, but it tends to be hard to tell if it's that flat iron or just like a spike or a railroad spike or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hey guys,
that was one of my complaints for relic hunting with it. But I like the machine; it's a great machine.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's MineLab's Flagstaff machine, I guess, isn't it? It and the GPX. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. You're not going to find a better coin machine for digging silver coins and jewelry and stuff. I mean, it's top notch.
Hey guys, Woody Jones put the call-in number in for us, and appreciate that. And we want to open those up. If you've got a question for Becky or for Chris, it is 270-495-0315, and anybody but Scott Duncan can call in. That's an inside
He's
joke.
Probably curled up watching a movie with his wife.
Well, he's smart then, isn't he?
Well, I can't. One night a week's all he can stand, talking on the shows.
Well, I didn't know which one of you guys was going to come on. I'd said something other to them the other night that Jeff was with the hippies tonight, and I guess he doesn't even have any service where he's at. He may have went to town to listen to the show or something other. I don't know. Miss you, Jeff, and
sell a lot of Twinkies.
That's right.
I couldn't help it.
Oh, me. Oh, now remember, Heath, this is a family-friendly show here now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Becky.
You know.
Hey, Becky, what is other than the cannonball? I know the cannonball is a great find for you, but what else stands out as one of your great finds that you have found?
Another thing that I found, actually there's several of them that are called beginner luck or newbie's luck, a boot pistol. It was just a random find, never expected to find it. It was an old house next to where I grew up at. The old farmhouse was probably the only one around for miles and miles. I still don't know the maker of it, but it is on my Facebook page. I think it was a 32, probably.
And I didn't catch what you said that it was that you had found.
It was a boot pistol.
Oh, a boot pistol. You found the whole pistol.
Nice.
I think Keith may have seen it on my page.
Yeah. She finds the good stuff, Loy.
Yeah.
Those are random finds, and it was just pure luck.
Becky, you ought to post pictures of that boot pistol and your cannonball on Loy's Relics Radio page.
You sure should.
I can do that.
And on History Seekers, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I put both those on there. What about
were you able to check and see if it was still loaded? That's what I always like to know about those pistols. Oh, man. That's still a cool find, I'll tell you.
Being inexperienced when I did find it, I wasn't sure if it was a toy, if it was real, and I kept going back and forth, and just so happened one of the guys that I texted with came by and looked at it. He goes, "You know what you have there?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to figure this out, if it's a real one or a kid's one." And so I started looking at the barrel, and I'm like, this is a real thing. And so I took a picture of it, sent it to a friend, and I got a explicit response of like, "I don't ever want to talk to you again. I'm done detecting with you."
Family friendly.
Yeah.
Family friendly.
Wow. A real gun. I mean, that's on my bucket list, and I guess it's something that anybody could find. But imagine a boot pistol,
a Civil War era gun. That's awesome.
It is.
Somebody was stating that it may have been made prior to the Civil War. Now, I don't know. I never did get an answer. So maybe if I post it to your page, somebody will have an answer.
Did you do any electrolysis on it?
A friend of mine helped me out with it, but I'm going to have to redo it. It is trying to rust a little bit again. So what we had done at the time was we did electrolysis, but then we waxed it, dipped it in hot wax. But I'd like to find somebody who knows what they're doing. I mean, not to say my friend didn't know what they're doing, but to get it preserved, where that doesn't happen.
Check out Steve Phillips' method if you haven't seen that. That is very good. That's on YouTube. I was at his house, and the very same thing. He had a very rare shell that years ago he had paraffined, and what happens is that stuff's still decaying underneath, and that's one of the issues. He's been using Gimplers some.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah, Scott Duncan has kind of taken it one step further, where after he does electrolysis, Loy, he's been putting it in the oven to get all the moisture out, trying to really dry it out to get rid of all of that that moisture that might be still lingering in the metal, and then doing the Gimplers and stuff on it.
Now, what
we had done was we did the electrolysis to it. Once that was done, I believe that he had boiled it, put it in the oven, and then dipped it in wax. I believe is how it was done.
But it's like he said, if you have rust that is left in there, or if you have moisture that is left and then you wax it, you're actually creating a barrier where the moisture can't get out, and it eats away from the inside. It's a very delicate procedure, really. And, I was going to I knew I couldn't remember the guy's name, but I knew that that there was somebody that you knew that did a good job on restoration on those type things. Wow.
Yeah.
A boot pistol.
You know, but the paraffin thing, that was the way to go for years and years. I mean, probably 30 or 40 years. That's how people have been doing it. And it's just now that 30 or 40 years later, we're starting to see the stuff that was done 30 or 40 years ago is starting to have that happen, which is unfortunate.
I noticed on the chat a while ago, Ohio Relic Hunter said he found a 38 one time wrapped in a bandana and a bag. That's the neighborhood you were hunting.
That sounds like some of those neighborhoods Scott and I hunt.
That's where Tennessee Jeff is tonight. Is in one of those neighborhoods.
I was on a Civil War relic hunt like that, Loy, one time. It was in a good neighborhood on the backside of this mountain, and I dug up a gun, and it was a shotgun. I thought I'd found a Civil War rifle because bayonets had been found there and everything else. And just my luck, it was like a 1920s era shotgun. I felt robbed. That's the only gun I've ever dug.
We were chasing a guy one night, law enforcement, and he was in front of us and approaching the Tennessee line. And before he got to the Tennessee line, something came out the window, and you could tell that it was a gun, that he had thrown a rifle or a shotgun out the window. And it was in a harvested cornfield, and that thing was sticking with the barrel in the ground straight up. Of course, we stopped and got the gun.
Wow.
It was a Remington 870, and so we let him go. We didn't chase him no more. My brother-in-law still got the gun.
Wow.
Paid his dues, huh?
Yeah. That worked out good for both of us there. How about you, Chris? What are your great finds?
Nothing like that.
Me either.
That's a hard act to follow.
Come
I had a neat find. One of my first ones was I had called a fellow to ask permission to hunt his farm, and he said, "Well, I don't know." And we got to talking for a while, and he said, "If you want to find gold, come look in my backyard." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, in 1978, I was planting saplings, and when I went to the house and washed the dirt off my hands, my wedding ring was gone, and we never did find it." I said, "Well, I'll come look for that, you know." So I went over there and looked one day in the fall for a couple hours and didn't find it. And went back in the spring, called him, and he said, "You want to come look for that again?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to, unless you don't want me to." And he's like, "No, come on over." And I went over in about 45 minutes, and he'd go around with me with a pitchfork, and he'd pop the dirt. The saplings had all died. They were gone. He knew it was roughly in this area, probably 100 yards long by about 25 yards wide. And anyway, popped a clod, and there it was. And his wife cried, and he couldn't believe it. And his kids were grown, but they were there, and they couldn't believe it. They send me a Christmas card every year. He said, "You can hunt my farm anytime you want."
That's a great story.
You know, I have actually got a lot of permissions like that just by going out looking for lost rings and stuff.
It was a nice deal. The other things that I would say were like, I've dug a couple Missouri State Guard buttons, which was the Missouri troops that fought for the Confederate side under Sterling Price. They were formed in, I think, 1861 and disbanded in 1862. And they had the Missouri State seal on the buttons. And I dug a cuff button like that and a coat button. So that was pretty cool. Oldest coin was an 1807 cap bust $1. Anyway, stuff like that.
Man, that's pretty cool. So tell us, without giving any secrets away, I mean, I don't want you to give your spots up or anything like that, but tell us about y'all's research. What do you guys do to research or that sort of thing to find some of these awesome items like boot pistols?
Well, no, to be honest, I am just now starting to do research. My finds have been random. You know, I've been with people that places were hunted out, so I go to places that are hunted out, and I look at those. the boot pistol. I was digging at the farmhouse next to where I grew up as a kid, and it was just a random find.
Okay.
Chris is your expert when it comes to doing research.
I don't know about that either.
Somebody stays up all night.
I know
I do that. I don't watch TV. I mostly just read Civil War diaries and journals and things in the evening. And I've got a subscription to newspapers.com. I'll put in a strange search term or something, or anything like that, and I'll try to find sites that way. People, found a couple newspaper articles that talk about so-and-so found a cannonball in their yard, and this would be 1938 or something, and they brought it down to City Hall. Things like that. I'll follow troop movements, maybe pick out one officer and try to follow his movements through the War of the Rebellion, through the official records, see if I can find diaries, journals. I'll spend a lot of time at some local historical society, or Missouri Historical Society, and some Wilson's Creek National Battlefield down in Springfield's got a great library. They've got a lot of good information. I use a program called CalTopo. I like it a lot as far as overlays for topographical maps, aerial photos. I use historic aerials to look back on older house sites, see if I can find any trench work lines or anything like that on some particular sites. I am plat maps all the time, using plat maps, old maps, researching stuff like that, drawing, soldiers' art. I just now, Heath, thank you for your, first thank you, Loy, for mentioning Heath's video. Thank you, Heath, for putting the video out.
Absolutely.
But you've really messed me up, man. I sat here last night for about 3 or 4 hours on Maprika doing township maps, and each township I'm putting like 40 to 50 marker points in it. Maybe not that many, 30 to 50 marker points on each township map. It's taken me a while, and I've only gotten through 4 township maps so far in one county. And, on those things, there's hundreds of sites. You'll never hunt them all out if you're looking for old house sites.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, I'll save you some time. The cap's around 420 or 430, if I remember correctly. I found that.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? What cap?
The points, like, you can only put, like, I think the current cap's somewhere around 420 or 430. I found that out the hard way.
Oh, you've put that
for
many
one
references.
map, you mean?
Yes, I have.
You've put that
I
many
am
references.
somewhat of,
Gosh.
yes, I'm somewhat of the perfectionist.
How big was that map, Steve?
And it was a county size map. So, I mean, to be fair.
Okay.
But you could drop a smart bomb with that map.
I tell you, It's amazing. If this was Christmas, you couldn't have gotten me anything better. I'm really excited about it. It's awesome.
Now I know.
missed out on this.
Hello?
What was his
Hello?
on?
Hello? Hello?
Now,
Who's that, Dennis?
Is this thing on?
Oh my goodness. Chris and Becky don't know what's going on, but Scott Duncan just called in and paid me back for Tuesday night. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, man?
Well, it was going pretty good.
Everybody?
It was going pretty good till you called, and I put on there that anybody could call but you.
Well, a little birdie told me to call. Heath was turning my phone to the ground saying, man, you got to call in and do this.
Oh.
Sorry. You weren't supposed to give me up, buddy.
I was
Just
hoping
for that, I'm going to dig a barber out from under him next weekend.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Well, you do all the time anyway.
I was hoping that you would do that because it, and I told Heath, since I've ran y'all's show 2 or 3 times, probably more than Heath has over the last month. I've got all of your login stuff.
There's probably truth to that.
Yeah, and I pull that audio off and edited all of that out, and it is seamless. You remember he said he
like
said
it never happened
to Ken. He said, "So what got you guys into thinking about making T-shirts?" And then all that debacle happened, and then eventually Ken comes in and says, "Well, I cut everything out. What got you into thinking about making T-shirts?" And Ken says, "Well," and I think you people don't know what went between the king before the whale there,
Break.
Oh, you cut out all the personality. That's awful.
Yeah, that is. That's personality.
Well, I remember something that you said a few weeks ago when we were having some technical difficulties on Skype. You said this is going to be on iHeartRadio, so. And it is, so we want to try to look professional, but I may still have a copy of that. I'll send it to you.
Well, the good news is that the iHeartRadio people, if they ever did an audit, they're never making it that far into the show after we're talking about metal detecting. So
that's true.
They're listening for about 5
yawning.
minutes and going, yeah, that sounds all right.
While you're on, I want to ask Becky and Chris, either one of y'all ever found a barber?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
See?
I found a barber half this year.
See how easy
Of
that
course.
is?
Of course,
Barber
they
dimes and
found
barber
barbers.
quarters.
Was that?
They probably just have extras laying around everywhere they've found.
That was probably
so.
Becky. That was probably one of your first finds, wasn't it? As a metal detectorist, was a barber.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't until I was up in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Well, look, just because you have a different set of listeners and also these guests do not know the story, I have found everything but a barber. So,
Yeah.
I found cat busts, I found cat bust half dimes, I found seated and everything else, and I've never found a barber. So,
Well, that's
It's funny how one thing will elude someone for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And
then your buddy digs it all the time.
Yep.
and leaves one on the dashboard as a kind of a spoiler too.
Yeah, that might have happened.
Hey guys, we're going.
hey,
Y'all hold on just a
safe
minute.
now to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, is Barb listening? Does she listen to your show as well?
No.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
she does.
Oh, well, then maybe I shouldn't talk about how we used it to stop the rattling on your radio, Heath. by wedging it in there.
Yeah, before you melted it down.
Yeah.
Hey guys, hold that thought. We need to pay some bills right here. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, Tesoro, and Macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for Mine Lab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim is your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any questions you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and be sure and tell him Relics Radio sent you. All in jest there, Scott. And I've told our listeners have heard, but I've got a old fairgrounds here that I found. I have no idea how many barbers that I have found on that place. And I actually quit hunting that place because I got into some Civil War stuff. And there's a great big area of that I have not even run a coil over. And I'm saving that for you when you come up here to Kentucky. But I want you to do something for me because as hard as I've hunted Civil War sites, I have never found a U.S. plate. So you put me on a spot down there for a plate, I'll put you on a spot that you should find a barber.
Well, we certainly put somebody else on the spot for a plate, didn't we, Heath?
Yes, we did. He'd never dug a bullet before, and we took him to our spot. That our we called it our newbie relic hunting spot, and he dug a plate and a sword scabbard. Hey guys, with a CTX 3030 too, by the way.
It was deep too.
It was deep. Yeah, so
I think he got that before he got the bullet.
He did. The guy had dug a U.S. plate and a Confederate sword scabbard before he dug a Civil War bullet.
Now that's Becky's luck right there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Becky.
Scott, I don't know if you were listening to the show, but she's dug a cannonball and a boot pistol.
Yeah, I caught that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she burning it up. Got all that newbie luck and everything.
Welcome to the boot pistol club.
Oh, you got one too.
Are you in the boot pistol club?
Too. Yeah. Yeah.
Get off my show, Scott.
But he can't find a barber dime.
Mine's a first year or a first early model, first model Marlin Derringer.
Well, then, if Becky puts a picture on History Seekers and Relics Radio group of that pistol, you be sure and look at that, because you might be the man to try and help her ID what that is, because she doesn't have a ID on it yet, do you, Becky?
No, I sure don't. I just kind of left it go to the wayside. I figured, well, I've got it here. There's other things to be found now, and that's kind of what happens to a lot of my stuff. It's sitting here in cases or whatever, or boxes, and I just keep digging. When I first started digging, I would wake up in the middle of the night and go digging. So for about 2.5 years, I would go nonstop, but that's changed quite a bit now. I'm more selective and not as eager to get up in the middle of the night and go digging.
Or go out in 95-degree heat either, I guess.
The heat don't bother me. But our ground here in Missouri, we did get some rain today, but it gets so hard. It's just really bad to dig. We can dig out in 107 degrees, and this winter I was out digging when it was -10. But even with a pickaxe, it wouldn't touch the ground.
I don't mind the winter, because our ground rarely freezes, and it'll get down to single digits. For maybe a couple of weeks here is about it, and very seldom does our ground freeze to where you can't dig. But I don't mind the winter. I can put clothes on, but I can't stand this heat. I'll hunt an hour or two early in the morning at sunrise, and that's about it for me, unless I get in the creeks.
Well, guys, I'm going to let you go, but I do want to give Becky a tip here that might help her with that identification of that pistol. When I got mine, the first thing I did was put it up on American Digger, Can You ID, and a couple of the other ID things. And someone said, we had a couple of ideas of what it might be. Believe it or not, I went on Facebook to the NRA Museum and the National Rifle Association Museum, and they had a historian look at it to verify what it was. The pictures of it.
Okay. That's cool.
So
Thanks.
So they were very helpful, and they said, yes, that appears to be a first model Marlin, so they were able to confirm it for me. So that's maybe some avenue that you might want to explore.
What was the date on that, Scott?
What was the what?
Was it like 1861 or 2? I can't remember that date.
I think it spanned from 1863 to just after the war.
Oh, okay.
It was Marlin's first pistol, and it was just a tiny little Derringer. So,
and you're going to the NRA website, is that correct, or the web or Facebook page, or what?
It was actually the Facebook page, and I messaged them on their Facebook page, and they had someone get back to me, which I didn't even expect. I thought, I'm going to throw this out, and it's going to go into the void.
Yeah.
But they actually came back and said, we showed this to our historian, and they concur that it's a Marlin.
Well, that's great information that you just shared right there. Becky, you need to do
I
that.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you need to do that.
I will do that.
And then follow up if you get any information on that. Be sure and post it on both of those Facebook group pages, History Seekers and Relics Radio. And then if you get any information on that, well, then follow up on it and keep us informed on that.
Mm-hmm. I will do that.
Anyway, thanks for calling in, Scott. Appreciate it.
All right. Do I get a T-shirt?
Yeah. they're not. They're not
those wide.
No, we don't have
wide pride T-shirts.
No, I don't have any.
Qualify.
I don't have any wide pride T-shirts other than the one that Ken is sending me. But we're supposed to. We're supposed to be getting our Relics Radio shirts here within a week or so, and I'll send you one of those. But it says two rednecks with a metal detector, so it's a little bit different design.
Well, it applies
to
Heath and I too.
Okay,
yeah, we qualify for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that can wear our shirts that can't wear Heath's and Butch's.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll have y'all all have a good night.
Okay, I'll edit your part out, and we'll catch you on the other side then.
Matt says it needs to say barberless in Alabama.
It says what?
Barberless in Alabama.
Oh, barberless in Alabama. Oh. Matt Purdue, you can thank him for that.
Oh, Ken, are you listening? Ken, are you listening? If you are listening, me and Heath will personally fund that shirt if you will make it and send it to Scott.
Absolutely.
I guess I shouldn't have asked for a free T-shirt.
That's what you get. Beggars can't be choosers.
I know. All right, guys, take care.
All right.
See you, brother.
Chris, what is the one thing that you think you should have found that you haven't found? Like Scott's barber.
Oh, I mean, just a simple gold ring would be. I mean, I've hunted quite a few homes, and I've been with several guys that have dug gold rings, and I'll dig those 50s and 40s signals, and even in 30s, 30 up, on the AT Pro. I've never dug a little solid gold ring that I thought I would have by now.
Well, I dug several of those with a 30-30, and they would come in in fact, I dug two in one day, and both of those came in at 12-10. They were 10K rings. Yep. They were Chow's gold rings, but I dug two of those. They came in at 12-10. I'm pretty sure. So
I'm wrong, Loy. I have dug a gold ring. Forget that. I just now realized I did dig one little gold ring and gave it to the farmer's wife, and I dug it, and like 5 minutes later she was there, and I just gave it to her. So I'd forgotten about that. So I have dug that. So let's go for a 20-cent piece. I'd like to dig a 20-cent piece. Can you make that happen?
I can't because I haven't done it. You got one of those, Heath?
No.
I don't either.
Never have.
I didn't even know they made a 20-cent piece.
I've got some Trime. I've got one Trime. I got the silver Trime.
Yeah, I've got a silver Trime.
Most of my weird coins are 1800 stuff because I just don't dig a lot of. I dig some, but not a lot of post 1800 homes.
What about you, Becky? What do you think that you should have found that you haven't found yet?
A running joke, the cannon that my cannonball came from.
That's going to be a deep hole.
That was a running joke for quite some time. Within a matter of several weeks, I had found something significant each week, and that was on my list. But it didn't happen.
Well, realistically, though, what do you think you should have found that you haven't?
I would have to say probably a gold ring. I've been up in Massachusetts and Rhode Island and a little bit detecting. And, timing the tides and the weather and, the beaches being sanded in, that's the one thing that I have yet to find.
Huh. Now, Lois, she mentioned something that has really struck a chord with me. talking about going up to the Northeast. Tell us a little more about that, because I have really got this bug for the Northeast since I went up there. It's all I can think about now, digging those 1700s coins. Tell us about some of that.
Well, I see Swansea's in the room here.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I've dug a few coins up there, but I was up there not too long ago and dug a 1861 Canadian, I think it's a large cent. That's the oldest that I've dug so far.
Did you get on Did you get on any flat buttons and things like that up there?
No, I didn't, because I was on the beaches or the local parks.
Oh, okay. So you weren't on the old house sites and things like Heath and them.
That's on my list for this fall.
Yeah. And Heath, y'all.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I've never seen a 20-cent piece. I was looking it up. I'd never seen one before.
I haven't either.
Is it a large cent or a
the 20? Somebody had mentioned the 20-cent pieces, and I was just sitting here Googling it. Sorry, I'm a little behind. I'd never seen one. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know it sounds noobish, but I'd never. It's 1875, 1878. All of our folks down here were dirt poor by the end of the Civil War. I guess that's why.
And I'm going to share something with y'all that came up on our show last week that I think Madison, Maine put in, was that the reason that we don't have too many large cents down here in the South or any of those old colonial coppers is that the banks in the South would not recognize the coppers as legal tender. They had to have silver. And I was not aware of that.
Huh. Well, that may, because I found a lot more silver coins like from the 1800s than I ever have. I've only found 2 large cents in Alabama, and then I had to go up north. It was actually with Brandon, Swansea Searcher, where I found my 3rd ever large cent.
I was 30 years finding a large cent, and finally found one 2 years ago, and now I've got 4. But I've got a whole lot more of the colonial silver, the reals. I don't know how many reals I've got, but they're a common find at these old sites that we hunt. Yeah. Both cut and...
I don't have one of those either.
You don't have any reals?
Nope. Never dug one. Chris, you or Becky, the one dug a real?
I haven't.
I haven't either. I watched a buddy dig a 1776 real, but I've not dug one yet.
Huh. That's on my bucket list still. Maybe one day. I guess we're going to have to come up and visit Loy so Scott can get his barber and I can get a real.
I think we should do that too.
Sounds like a plan, right, guys?
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me. Hey, before the show, y'all were talking about in the Missouri River, some of the old steamboats that have been raised there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there was the Steamboat Arabia. You can look that up, Google it too. If anybody gets to Kansas City, they ought to check out the museum. They dug that steamboat up. I don't know how long ago. Anyway, it sunk in I think 1856. It was if I remember right, it was 45 feet below a cornfield, about a quarter of a mile or half a mile from the river. And it was fully loaded. They said it's like a Walmart store on a boat. It was fully loaded heading upstream when it hit a submerged tree and sank. And they've been pulling stuff out of it for years and preserving it. They pull a jar of pickles out and they open it up, and one of the guys takes a bite of one of the pickles from 1856. They tell a neat story that there was only one casualty on the steamship, and it was an old mule. And the man one of the men claimed that he tried to get his mule off the boat. It wouldn't. It was just stubborn, and it would not come off the boat. They couldn't get it off the boat, and so he just left it. when they excavated this boat, they found the mule with a chain around its neck and chained to a post on the steamboat. So the guy had lied about trying to get his mule off of there. He just left it.
Oh, no.
It is something really to see. I did this in the museum, and, you know, normally when you find stuff from a shipwreck or a boat wreck or whatever, you know, it's there's nothing left. But everything that they found was like brand new, from leather to glass work to dishes to wood. They actually had the window panes from the boat in the windows in the museum. So everything is just brand new. Everything from hardware to locks to guns to whatever, clothing. Everything is like brand new because the oxygen did not get to it.
Yeah, it's just like that, like a Walmart store. And they were digging a second one now in Malta Bend, Missouri, called the Malta. And that little town there is called Malta Bend because the steamboat Malta sank on that bend of the river. And they're digging that one now.
Heath, it sounds like we need to go to Kansas City and go to that museum.
Yeah, I have.
Very interesting.
I have been. I've been to some of those museums up there. Now, I'm sorry, it wasn't that one. I don't think there's a Civil War museum just to the east of, to the west of Kansas City, going towards Topeka. Becky, do you remember which museum? And they've got a train. I just remember they've got a train in there. I know they've got a lot of stuff. Is that the museum or is it a different one?
You know, I have not been to that one. I've been to the World War I museum.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Kansas City, but the one you're talking about, I have not been to.
Oh, okay. And I didn't know if it was that one or not, but it was really cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. Used to go out to Kansas City from time to time.
I tell you what, it sounds like a real place to go and visit.
Oh, yeah.
Just Google it, and you can see some pretty interesting photos, and I'm sure there's some YouTube videos out there to show how amazing the stuff is that came out of there.
And
stuff that we dig now.
You know, we live on the Cumberland River here, and steamboats, I mean, they came from here and went all the way to the Mississippi River and came up from the Mississippi River, but especially from Nashville to here, and delivered a lot of goods and everything. And a few of the places that we hunt were steamboat stops where the captain and some of the upper echelon of the crew, you know, would stay in the houses and things. And we found a few things like that. But I don't know of any of those. I guess I need to do a little bit of research if any of those ever sank in the Cumberland. But, you know, it's not that deep. So I guess if they did.
You should. Yeah, you should look that up. It would be interesting. I do a lot of water hunting. And that's one thing that's pretty sad about the Missouri River here is that it's been so channelized and changed by the Corps of Engineers. I don't know that you're going to really find anything. I'm sure there's some stuff that washes out, but it's nothing like the river used to be at all, of course. And things are half a mile now away from where it used to be. But you can't hunt the river like you can the smaller rivers and streams around here with bedrock on the bottom and dig out bullets and boot pistols and cannonballs or whatever.
Now, do y'all do a lot of water hunting in the summertime?
I do. Yeah.
I actually just went my first time here about a month ago with Chris. Takes a lot of coordination.
It does, and you have to, you know, if you're very deep, and I'm talking, you know, maybe 4 foot, you got to have some weight to hold you down to where that you can extract the target. I've tried it, you know, to try and go down, and it is a job. And then you've got your detector and your pinpointer, and it takes a lot of coordination to water hunt. Now, he's worried about snakes.
And now leeches after the last show.
Yeah. I've never had a problem with a snake, and I've never had a problem with a leech. But, I guess it's first time for everything. But that's the way to go in the summertime when it's hot.
I don't know if they would have water moccasins up that high or not. Probably not.
I don't think so. I don't think we have any up here.
Yeah.
We don't have. We've got them down southern Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Now, we've got snakes that people call water moccasins, and what we called in Texas a cottonmouth, but I don't think that that's what these are. I think they're just water snakes. I was in the creek the other day, and there was a snake skin washed past me where it had shed its skin, and Heath was the first person that I thought about. If I'd had my phone, I'd just recorded it coming down. But
I hate snakes, guys. Y'all just don't know.
Well, I don't want one in bed with me, but I'm not all that afraid of them. Hey, guys, tell us about some of the folks that y'all have the pleasure of hunting with. I know you hunt with Jeff Ford and Mike Clutter and some of those guys. Tell us about them.
Chris?
Henry, Jeff Henry, Mike really nice. Jeff is Henry, and Jeff is, I tell you, that guy, he stepped on a nail the other day and drove it up into a heel of his foot.
Ouch.
And yeah, but he's like that as far as he can. I think his body just seeks out metal. He doesn't even know it, and he's seeking out metal. That guy, Mike just posted on there that he dug 2 barbers today. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Jeff dug 2 barbers.
I didn't see.
I don't know. I brought him.
He's a hunting machine.
Go ahead. He's a what?
He's a hunting machine.
You're not kidding.
I mean, he is a.
Yes, I don't get it.
He is a hunting machine. I've hunted with him at DIV twice, and then had him and Wes come to Tennessee. Came over here and hunted with me and Tennessee Jeff, and I mean, he burnt us alive on a Civil War camp that had been hunted quite a bit. I think he found, he said it was his best bullet day ever. I think he found somewhere around 20 bullets on a hunted out camp.
Isn't that frustrating?
Hunted out.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
We were supposed to go to a colonial place up here in my neck of the woods the next day, and fortunately it rained and we couldn't go because he'd have cleaned my spot out too.
What was he using?
He's using GPX, and he had he had that elliptical commander coil. What would that be? Like a?
Oh yeah, I think it's like a 15 or a 12 by something. I don't remember.
I was thinking.
I'd say 12.
12 by 15.
12 something. It's sort of just a little bit funny shaped.
Yeah, and
he had that up here. I brought him. He wanted to come up and hunt one of these hunted out sites that I detect, and I said, "Man, Jeff, I mean, you guys are more than welcome to come up here, but man, we've hit these things hard, and the last couple of times I'm not finding anything out there." And he's like, "That's what I want." And I said, "Well." It ended up there was 4 of them that came up, and I said we may just be following Jeff around, taking turns digging his holes. But Jeff dug. We didn't find a whole lot. Jeff did dig a couple buttons and a bullet or 2, and then Down South Digging, I think is his name, from Zach. He was in Texas. He lives up in Kansas City now. Zach came over, and Zach dug a nice mini ball, but I mean that was about it. Mike dug a piece of camp lead. Then right at the end of the day at 6 o'clock, I called a fellow who told me that he would let me know when he'd have the hay removed. When he had his hay cut, he'd call me. Well, I called him anyway and he said, "Well, it's cut, but you got to work around the hay bales." Hey, that's no problem. We went out there, and Jeff got on, and we were all hunting this big area. But Jeff hit the spot, and he dug a dragoon button, an infantry button, I think a couple bullets, and Zach dug a nice little bullet, or a 69 mini, I think, or maybe a 58, and I dug a button that was pretty much damaged and a couple round balls. And then I went back the next day, and I dug that 1861, was it a half dime or a dime? I think it's a dime. Yeah, it's a dime, 1861 dime, seeded dime. That was last week.
Man,
He is a hunting machine. There's no doubt about it.
He is. He was using that GPX, and he got quality. He got quality with that Dragoon button. Nice, pretty nice.
Yeah. Hey guys, enjoyed y'all coming on, and before you go, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, your YouTube channels or Facebook pages or what have you.
I'm on Facebook. I haven't done videos. Chris is the video person.
I'm sorry, what?
What'd you say, Becky?
Hello? Oh, I was saying that I'm on Facebook, but Chris is the video person, YouTube guy.
And what is your channel
just
there?
Chris Heimsoth. it's just Chris Heimsoth. I'll put a link in there.
Okay.
Here you go.
My chat is locked up, so I hadn't been able to see the chat forever. But, hey, guys, appreciate y'all coming on, and look forward to meeting both of you and getting to hunt with you. Jeff has said something, Jeff Ford has said something about us coming out there and hunting sometime. And, I'd like for all of us to get together and do a little bit of hunting. What do you got left, Heath?
Oh, nothing, man. I just appreciate you having me on. And, guys, if you never listen to History Seekers, give us a chance over on Spreaker Network. You can find us by typing in History Seekers. We're also on iHeartRadio if you want to listen to the recorded version. Man, I just appreciate you coming on. Good to talk to Becky. It's been a while. And thank Chris for coming on, too.
And go ahead and
guys.
Go ahead, Heath, and plug your job so you can make a little money tonight.
Well, yeah. Of course, Tim's a great guy, but if you guys want to, if you're in the market for a metal detector, I do sell them as well. You can find out more about me at treasuremtndetectors.com. And under the staff profile, just search or just click on my name, Heath Jones, and you can read all about me. You can always give me a call at 256-463-9308 and tell me you heard about me on Relics Radio or History Seekers. Always love to talk to listeners of the show.
Yeah, and you'll get a special deal if you do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do some special deals.
Get a special deal. Maybe throw in a Wide Pride T-shirt or two rednecks.
If I had some extras.
Yeah, two rednecks with a metal detector. We're going to have all of that. And, hey, guys, let me plug something else that we have in the works, and that is July the 28th, American Digger Magazine, which we both are sponsors for both of our shows. They're going to have a relic show in Chattanooga, Tennessee on July the 28th. That's a Saturday and 29th. And we have plans of setting up there and doing live shows for American Digger Magazine, Relic Roundup, also for History Seekers and Relics Radio on the 28th during the day sometime on Saturday. Yeah. Those will all be special shows. So, and hopefully we'll all have our T-shirts done then and have those on site, and you'll be able to pick those up. And if you guys will hang on the line, I'll go ahead and close the show out and chat with you just a little bit after I do that. But if you love podcasts and metal detecting, let me remind you to check out Beyond Sight and Sound on Sunday and Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern with Josh Kimmel. American Digger Relic Roundup, they're on Monday night at 9 o'clock. All Metal Mode is on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then Heath and Scott have History Seekers on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. And then Hardcore Metal Detecting has a show on Thursday night and Saturday night. And both of those are 8 o'clock Eastern. And all of those are on Spreaker. And a shout out to Tennessee Jeff. Miss you, brother, and looking forward to getting back with you. And thanks to all of our listeners, and thanks to everybody on the chat here tonight. And we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with Seven or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.